Oh, welcome to a new week. It is Monday morning. We are all raring to go, maybe, potentially. Today, I have a guest who is a black belt. He's just come online. He is only 25. A black belt who is 25, and that is also a former economics student, and he is now a full-time coach and athlete. Welcome, Tommy. Perfect timing. How are you?
Is my camera on? I'm
Yeah,
okay.
you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Done your
Okay.
hair for the occasion. I like it.
A little
That's
bit.
definitely more than I've done.
I didn't wake up too long ago, so
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. So I was just giving a little introduction, which was that you are 25 years old, which I discovered today. I thought you were 26. You know, whatever. You're a black belt, which is incredible at 25 years old. That's an achievement in itself. I mean, I say achievement, that's like actually putting it way too low. It's like literally incredible.
um, it depends on how you see it. To be honest, it's it's just one of those things.
It's just one of those things, ever casual, whatever. I'm just a black belt, 25, whatever. It's like literally things that people dream of. Yeah.
2 days.
So
2 days.
talk it up a bit. I do. I'm a purple belt. I'm 33. I didn't even start training till I was 24. It's rubbish.
That's fair enough.
So
I did luckily get into it a bit younger before it was cool, so to speak. So
yeah, so like trend setting a little bit.
tiny bit. I'd
Yeah,
say
I reckon.
nowadays it's a bit more popular to train because of MMA and everything else in Hollywood. So
In Hollywood, cash. So you started before you went to uni, right?
uh, way before
Or
that
around
actually. I
that same
started
time?
no before way before that. I started when I was 17, turning 18, second year of college slash sixth form, whatever you want to call it. So
Hmm.
um,
Okay.
so it was
And
about
then you,
and then and then I've been continuing training since. I haven't really stopped apart from lockdown, COVID-19.
yeah, of course. I mean, didn't everyone? Yeah, but you went to uni, you carried on training while you're at uni. How did you find training while you were at uni?
It's pretty much the same. You actually probably have more free time when you're studying. Well, free time, so to speak, is relative, but you have less responsibilities in terms of what to do with your life. Well, you have responsibilities, but there's less pressure because you don't even know what you're going to do yet. But after you finish uni, it's like, oh, okay, this is real life and growing up, right? So, so
Yeah.
training during when I was studying was probably easier than training now. So,
Wow. Okay. So you did economics at uni. What made you choose Jiu Jitsu over a career in economics?
to be fair, I wanted to take a year out after uni just to train more often. But of course, there were financial difficulties, and living in a Asian household, your mom's probably never going to be happy about anything that's not conventional, so to speak. So I took a year out, and I did work part time at one point when I did take a year out. But the thing is, there were quite a few complications. I didn't get paid for about 2 months, and there was a lot of things that put me off working part time whilst training, and it was just a lot of bullshit, to be fair. And then Alan asked me if, do you want to teach 2 classes a week? This was when I was a purple belt. And he said, do you want to teach 2 classes a week at Fight City Gym? And I said, why not? And then just to make a tiny bit of income to start off with. And I wouldn't say a living at all, but some form of income just to at least sustain my
Yeah, like
travels.
tide you over kind of thing.
Yeah, just at least to pay for my travels. Luckily, I mean, it's quite shameful to say it now, but luckily my family have been pretty supportive. Well, even though they disagreed, Mom's always been quite supportive if I needed money to buy food and whatnot. This was quite a few years back, so she was supportive of that, and I'm still kind of doing it to this day. So
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you actually about your family, because I find a lot of family kind of maybe parents or like, you know, the older brothers and sisters, maybe they're a bit kind of, oh, it's not conventional, like you're saying earlier. It's like in the Asian household, it's a very kind of frowned upon, like, how dare you not be a doctor or a lawyer? Like, what's wrong with you? And you're like, oh, jiu-jitsu, like, this is so much more fun. You don't understand. They get to break people's arms. This is, like, way better. Or just choke them out. And,
It's
you know.
hard, even to this day. I think until I'm not even making big money, but until you start seeing a tiny bit of money in jiu-jitsu from teaching and competing, I haven't competed for much money, but because jiu-jitsu is such an amateur sport, so regardless of how, I mean, there's similar with most sports. There's guys at the top who make a lot of money. Gordon from competing, I'm sure his sponsors pay him a lot, and he makes a lot from instructionals. But how many Gordon Ryans are there in jiu-jitsu? Not that many. And
Yeah.
even other black belt world champions, I don't see them doing as well financially as Gordon does. And a lot of it comes from online presence too. So it's not just, oh, you're very good at this and you're going to make money for sure. It's a mixture of so many things nowadays. And the more saturated jiu-jitsu is becoming and has become, I think there will be more money at the bottom as well. But at the same time, there's still going to be a big difference between the top and us guys.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think with Gordon, he talks the talk and he walks the walk. I mean, he says all this stuff that he's going to do, and he does it. And it's like, that's why he can make the money he makes. And I mean, I don't like his attitude in the sense that he goes, well, why isn't everyone else doing it? And it's like, well, because they're not. And it's like,
they're not you, because when Dylan Dennis talks rubbish and then he loses, it doesn't look good.
It does, yeah, exactly. It's like no one else can back it up. Like, okay, yeah, I don't sometimes think that his attitude is the best, let's say, but it's, you know, I mean, he certainly backs up his jiu-jitsu, that's for sure. And he certainly trains hard. I mean, there's no doubt about that. There's not, like, yeah, probably there's a little bit of steroids going on there, but steroids can only get you so far.
Yeah, to be honest, everybody can train hard, and everybody should train hard if they're a full-time competitor, right? But it's the things that he's probably doing or his team's probably doing that's making the difference between him and the other competitors. So he's worth his money, and I'm glad that he's making his money, and hopefully one day I'll be making my money as well. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's amazing that someone has managed to make that much money out of jiu-jitsu. You know, like that in itself is like, oh, well, we can all aspire to that. You know,
because if you look only about 5 years ago when he was, what was it now, 2020, about 3-4 years ago when he was doing ADCC at, was 88 kilos. He was kind of making waves, but now he's probably established himself way more. And he's definitely making his money now, so.
Yeah, exactly. And he's, you know, he's showing off with the cars and the houses and the, you know, everything else. And it's like, well, you know what? Like, you clearly earn it, you know, like it wasn't handed to you. So, you know, however you earn it, maybe it's from shit talking, maybe it's from jiu-jitsu, maybe it was from a combination, but you still did it. So fair play, you know, however you did it, you did it. So yeah, you might not agree with him, but at least he's doing it.
And the thing is, there's going to be a lot of people that think that's the blueprint, and it's like, oh, I have to trash talk, I have to do this to make money from it. But I think if it's not genuine, people can kind of see that. If you're saying these things online and then in real life, people see you, like, even if it's jiu-jitsu, don't forget people are like participating in a combat sport. So if somebody were to talk rubbish online, so to speak, and then somebody sees you in real life and you're all friendly and shit, it's like, okay, like, what's going on? So
yeah, that's a good point actually, because I met him at, I think it was 2016, 2017 Worlds. Yeah. And he was so nice. Like, so nice. And I was like, but like, maybe that was before he like got really bitchy online, but like, he was so nice to me. I got a picture with him. He was so friendly. He was just like, hey, how's it going? And I was just like, thought you're a dick. Like, what happened? Why are you being nice?
Most people who've mentioned interactions with him and said it's been nothing but cool. So
yeah.
It's
so I don't know, but hey, it's working for him. So, you know, fair play. So just a little bit more about your family. Like, how did your family react when you were like, you know what, I think I'm going to stick with this jiu-jitsu thing. Like, I think I'm going to just crack on and like keep coaching people, keep competing. Like, what was their reaction?
So it's still, I mean, to this day, it's still like, oh, why don't you get a real job? Look, like, sometimes when I look at my mom, she's probably looking at me like, yeah, you know, that's not a real job. But
yep, I feel you.
my mom is still, I mean, it depends on what you want in life. And of course, being financially stable, being financially comfortable so that you can afford things in life and all that stuff is important. But at the same time, it depends on what, I wouldn't say what you think is your true calling. That's very cliche, but what, because I'm not even that spiritual like that. I'm not even religious. I can't even, how would I say it? Almost
well, like it's like the lifestyle kind of thing. It's like you don't want to get up and go to work and be stressed all day every day and then not have energy to train, which is your true love, and you're like living to work, but like you want to like just work, enjoy your life, train, have fun. Maybe.
I mean, with with jiu-jitsu it's still stressful. That's my boy Baz. Even jiu-jitsu is stressful. It's like you're not getting paid much. You're training. You're like, when's the next competition even going to be? You're training so hard, like beating up your body to the point where you're like, oh, okay, is this even worth it? And then, I mean, even to this day, I still have my doubts of continuing jiu-jitsu. Why don't I just get a full-time job and settle down, as people would say? But my family now are way more supportive, just because I don't ask them for money anymore, which is
that probably helps.
Yeah. So when I did rely on them financially a bit more, it was like, oh, okay, mate, go get a job. But now less so, and I think it's easier to see for them to see what I'm doing and not just going out at 10 a.m. and coming back at 10 p.m. So I do understand that they're looking out for the best interest for me, but I think doing this, like jiu-jitsu and supposedly full-time with whatever you want to call it, so teaching and training full-time, is the best interest for me. Like, so.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, and you know, they want the best for you. So of course it makes sense.
But now it's okay. It was a tough, probably about 2 or 3 years, but now it's, of course, not too bad.
Yeah, no, that's it's like a break-in period.
Yeah.
What about competing? So what is it about competing that you love so much?
I used to say like the adrenaline of it, because even though you're not really getting hit in the face a lot, the exciting part of competing, just warming up and you get nervous, those little things when when you're competing, when you're there, it's like, oh shit, why am I even here? Sometimes it's like, oh crap, I should have been at home. I could have been at home just sitting there, but I'm here now. In some occasions it'll be in America or wherever it is. But I came all the way here. Oh shit, why am I even doing this? But then it's being able to deal with pressure, dealing with nerves, and overcoming that. That's what's addictive, and I think that's what makes a lot of people compete in general, anyway. But in terms of in a combat sport against another person, where you don't have a team that you need to rely on, so to speak. I mean, everyone kind of preaches, oh, like it's a team sport as well as an individual sport, but nobody's. I mean, your coach isn't gonna just jump to the mats and compete for you. So like whatever they shout, it's obviously gonna be good, but at the same time, nobody's helping you. So being able to deal with difficult situations is kind of why I compete, or why I like competing. So.
Yeah, there's like the overcoming of it, and the feeling of overcoming the feeling of like, I did that. Like I did
Pretty
that.
much,
No one else
pretty
did
much.
that. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's legit. Like it's the best feeling. I love it so much. What's been your favorite competition so far? Or you can give me a top 3 if you want. People generally
Yeah,
don't like to go for like a
three.
one favorite.
There's so many. There's been quite a few
Yeah.
tournaments over the years, from white to black. No, white to brown, in fact, because I got my black belt not too long ago, and I haven't competed yet. But talking about competing at brown, didn't compete much at brown. But my first tournament was definitely memorable. So white belt shit. Is it okay to swear?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So white belt stuff. Um, I remember back then you could jump close guard. So that's what I
Right.
had. I
Yeah,
had
you're
close
not allowed
guard,
to do
half
that
guard.
now.
Yeah, so like I was training with Claudio Silva, who fights in the UFC. He's I'll give him a shout out later on. He's fighting Muslim Sadikov in about a month's time. So, but I remember that used to be my thing. I used to just run across the mats and jump close guard. And then I had one or two moves maybe. I had an armbar from close guard. And my first match, super shaky and stuff. Super shaky white belt.
Yeah.
Close guard. I armbarred a guy, and he didn't tap. And I was like, oh crap. I could feel his elbow popping, just and actually shot through his gi, and it was quite sickening at one point because it was like, what? Why isn't he tapping? And you do understand. I think I was training for about 3 months or so, 3 or 4 months, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I won the match eventually off coming up on top of that. I think it was like 2 points. So at the time, I won the first match, and that was like, okay, this is the taste of winning is nice.
Yeah.
And then around the second match, somehow I remember there's so many names that I'm going to drop that probably no one really knows yet. So, my good friend Jason, who's a black belt as well, also now, he was teaching deep half guard. So somehow I was in deep half as a white belt. I don't even know how I was playing deep half. I swept him with the kind of the momentum sweep where you roll one side, roll back the other way.
Yeah.
Came up with one arm in, one arm out, and boom, I got put in a triangle. But the best thing about it, I got caught in a triangle for about 4 minutes, I think. About 4 minutes. Felt longer than that. But I got caught in a triangle for 4 minutes, and there was white belt things. They squeezed for about 5 seconds, and they would let go. Squeeze for about 5 seconds and let go. So I survived 4 minutes of being in a triangle. I lost the match by a lot of points. Maybe because every time I'd come up on top, it'd be 2, and then roll back to the bottom. So it was 2 points for a sweep, mounted triangle, so to speak. So it racked up a lot of points. And then I lost that match. And the next one, even worse. So it was a match for bronze. And I jumped close guard. I remember hitting the back of my head on the mats briefly.
That's probably why you're not supposed to do it.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm okay. I felt a bit winded. You know, when you jump close guard and you just hit the mats, boom. I felt a bit winded. And then I remember, you know, in the gi where they start pushing your lapels towards your throat. It was like one of those, just not even a choke, like a zip. And then I just remember waking up with Claudio in front of me. He was like, man, why didn't you tap? I got put to sleep in my first tournament. And that was probably the most memorable one. Not necessarily my favorite, but definitely very memorable.
Yeah, at least you're not going to forget that in a hurry.
No. Even though I've lost a lot of brain cells because of that, but I haven't forgotten.
But that's like also, I guess, like losing at the beginning. It's like such a big learning experience when you're just like, oh, I really enjoyed that, the adrenaline and everything, but I didn't enjoy the losing part. So maybe I need to get the adrenaline and then like maybe win next time.
It helped with a bit of both. It was like I got a mix of both. I won one match for one. Number two, the second match was tough, and I knew I wouldn't say I'm a tough person because I'm not, but I getting caught in a triangle for 4 minutes and surviving somewhat just because it was uncomfortable did show that like, oh, okay, you can kind of gut things out. So it was a good balance between winning and losing. I didn't feel necessarily that deflated after it. I felt like, oh, this is something I want. This is probably what that was almost the pivotal point of like, oh, this is kind of what I want to do. This shit is fun. So
yeah, no, definitely it is. Yeah, there's nothing else like it, I guess. It's just it is what it is. You have to experience it to really appreciate it, I think.
Yeah,
In a lot of ways.
I think a lot
so
of
how? Oh, sorry. What were you going to say?
I think a lot of things are probably similar, just because I'm not one of those guys that are like jiu-jitsu superiority, you know. Like, so, at the same time, I don't know. Playing badminton probably isn't as exciting. Well, actually, no. Badminton is exactly. That's besides the point. Let's move on to the next topic.
I was gonna. Yeah, don't start dissing badminton. They might come after you.
No, I enjoy badminton. When I play badminton, I mean, whenever you're Asian, you kind of prefer, like, you like racket sports, table tennis, badminton, and tennis not so much, but badminton and table tennis are like two of my favorite non-grappling sports.
Non-grappling sports. Amazing. Okay, so have you had any negativity from competing, from coaching, and if you have, how have you dealt with it?
From my own circle, or
from other competitors, from like people that have not pardon me, sorry, people that haven't supported you, people that you've been like, I wish you were more supportive, maybe. Pretty much any negativity you've experienced.
Not too much, to be honest. Luckily, since I've started training, all my coaches have been really on it, so to speak. Like I started young, so I mean, at first, when I first started, I don't think Claudio says this all the time, but he didn't like me because he thought I was the local street thug who was smoking weed outside his gym, but which wasn't me, for that matter. I remember
it was just another Asian guy.
Yeah, not that Asian guy. It was another Asian guy. But so I remember the first class, I was put to spar with some of the guys that still train to this day. Some guys not training, but I'm two blue belts, Ryan and Alex, and it was because like, oh, okay, go beat him up and see what. Then I just started coming back. So not necessarily. That's not a bad thing, to be fair. I think, but my coaches have always been supportive. I've always been, even in Birmingham when I was training there, the environment was looking very nice. I think the jiu-jitsu community, for the most part, I mean, of course, there are some darker sides to it or less nice sides to it. But for the most part, most people are pretty genuine and nice and upfront. So in terms of competing, I've never had anyone disrespect me in any way, even when I lose or anything like that, or when I've won, nobody's thrown a shot. There's always been a handshake afterwards. Because I think the difference between the jiu-jitsu and the MMA crowd most of the time is they know they train. Everyone trains, even no. I mean, in terms of the spectators, anyway. Yeah, and there are rare occasions where when you're reffing, you get more abused than when you compete. Because I ref as well from time to time to make extra income. And Jesus, at Naga, when you get parents screaming at you for their kid losing and tap, like the thing is, when you ref kids, you're probably familiar with this as well. If you deem a submission to be on, say if it's like an armbar, tight armbar, or the arms have extended, you have the responsibility to drop the mat, and then the parents will go nut shit crazy at you because it wasn't on. They didn't tap. I'm like, I just gone through that. That's the main abuse I get from jiu-jitsu, to be fair. So
from parents,
and corners, saying, "Oh, referee, you don't know the rules," and then I'll explain to them what I saw, because when you ref, it's difficult. I think I never used to appreciate how difficult the job was. I was like, oh man, this ref is shit. When I was competing, when I lost by advantage or ref's decision, I'd have vendettas over certain referees. I'm not going to drop names, but I'd be like, oh, that ref is fucking shit. I don't want them to ref my match. But I think after reffing now, especially most events start 9, 10 a.m. You have to get there for about 8 or 9. Commuting there is a different story. Then they ref all day. So if your match is about 2, 3 p.m. or even later, sometimes at Naga you can end up matches with
really late
9 p.m. Good luck. The ref isn't going to have much energy, and I mean they might, but more often than not they couldn't make mistakes as well. So
exactly. And I guess like when you've been watching like white belts trying to rip each other's heads off all day, and then it's like I don't have energy to know whether this is on. I just want to not get you have like I don't want to let you have a broken arm.
Yeah, and yeah, for kids especially, but and adults matches as well. The worst thing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Master 5 white belt competitors, but Master 5 ultra heavyweight, two white belts, just pushing each other for 5 minutes, and you have to give a winner, right? You've stopped it, told him to try to engage, told him multiple times.
This is jiu-jitsu, right? Let's just stop like trying to push each other off bounds, out of bounds.
So let's get something going, boys. And nothing happens after 5 minutes, and then you give it to someone. It's almost like a coin flip. You're like, okay, which guy push the other person a bit harder? Okay, this guy. And then the other one will be like, what ref? And you're like, mate, you should have done something when you had the opportunity.
Like neither of you did anything. I had to kind of flip a coin.
Exactly. So that's the difficult part as well. And I don't think a lot of people appreciate that. Of course, I mean, I didn't either. I've been in matches where it's been relatively even and I didn't want to open up much. Neither did the other person. And I was a bit sour after the decision, but not too long. I'm just like, I still shake the ref's hands. I'm like, and I think like, fuck this guy or whoever. So, but afterwards it's fine. The day goes on. And
yeah. So talking of competing, how do you deal with your nerves? How do you kind of go through that thought process before competing?
To be fair, I would say I'm still finding my optimum kind of mindset to compete. There are times that I think it works different for different people. I've seen people like Tommy Yip just slap himself up and hype himself up before competing, and I'll probably never do that and probably look pretty stupid doing it. So I like to stay in a semi-relaxed state of mind and say I'd like to listen to fruity pop tunes and whatnot. So, and I think once you're confident in your preparation, more often than not, I mean, you'll never feel ready, so to speak.
Mm.
Even if you train every day to mental and physical exhaustion, I don't think you'll ever get to this like, oh, I'm 100% ready for this. But I know I train enough. No, actually, no, I don't even. Do I even train enough? That's actually a good question. But
that's a great question. Let's answer that question. Do
you
want to interview yourself?
Yeah, I always do this. I say things and I'm like, I question myself like,
that's a great question.
So I think if you're confident in your preparation, more often than not, it becomes easier to convince yourself that you're going to win. Because there's no point going, well, there are sometimes when people go into tournaments, oh, see how it goes. But when I think when I go there to think I'm going to win, I put more pressure on myself and I don't perform as much. I'm way more hesitant to move, way more. But when I think when I just go in and just shut everything off, that's when I perform best. And it works for different people. So
yeah, of course.
Just to actually say that, I literally took a 360 around the block just to say that, but to ignore me.
That's all good. Sometimes you just have to like work stuff out as you're saying it, right?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
So answering your own question, do you train enough?
I'd say no for a full-time competitor, just because I don't teach that often, but I teach quite a bit, especially with some one-to-ones during the day. And it's I think getting the right amount of recovery is difficult as well. When you teach throughout the day or train throughout the day, and then you come home, you're like, oh shit, I haven't really done anything for myself, whether it's reading or playing video games, whatever it may be, probably the latter. But the problem with me, I just stay up to play games with my friends. It's a socializing thing, and I would sacrifice it if I would sacrifice it. Yeah. So I don't think I train enough at the moment. I don't
think anyone trains enough right now, because we can't. But
exactly.
You know, we're kind of. But at the same time, you're not really going to be competing anytime soon because there are no competitions. So
no, there are some tournaments that I do want to do soon. ADCC trials in December potentially, which is
If
in
it
3 months.
runs.
Yeah, if it runs. But there are tournaments that are running. So there was an AJP Tour Abu Dhabi event just over the weekend, and a couple of my teammates competed. So in Switzerland, in the UK, not so much, but in
Yeah.
abroad, there's quite a few tournaments that are running. So I do want to compete soon. I saw, I think UAE doing an event in Moscow, which I want to do. But apparently it's quite hard to get a visa, so that's also a different issue.
Yeah. Yeah,
Russia.
getting visas to compete and getting, you know, and at the moment, obviously, you've got like in certain countries, it's like you go to the country, you have to come back in quarantine,
Yes,
and
and
know
that's the
that's
difficult
gonna,
part, right?
yeah. So then it's like, well, if I go to that competition, I'm not going to be able to train for 2 weeks after that. So
Yeah,
is it
and
worth going to that competition to not train for 2 weeks after? I mean, that's a decision you have to make, obviously, but like it
yeah,
obviously plays into, you know, your decision of whether to do that competition, I guess.
yeah, that's the thing. It's a 2 week quarantine. I'm not supposed to. I mean, I'm not supposed to leave the house to do anything, train, teach,
Yeah.
and everything else that comes with it, right? So I'd have to lose income for the next 2 weeks and find cover for the next 2 weeks, which is a hassle on other people too. So whether it's probably very difficult at the moment. So unless it's a country where I don't even know about this, all this. I know a lot of people get away with it. It's just like, oh, you have to do 14-day quarantine. Nobody really checks up that strictly, so to speak, in England. I don't think.
I think it depends where you are. I think some people, they're checking like like they're being very tough on them, and like there have been people getting fined, but I think it probably depends on if you're on their radar, maybe.
It's true. If you're, I don't know, I've seen people, man, the thing is not to expose people on social media, but man, I've seen people travel from country to country to country, putting it on their stories. I'm like, aren't these countries on the quarantine
Are you
list?
allowed to do that?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I wouldn't say I would be the one to disobey the quarantine rules, but you know, they're quite, sometimes I can see that they're a bit lenient, so.
Yeah, for sure. I guess, yeah, it depends maybe on the situation and individual situations.
But yeah,
So back to competing. Have any of your students competed yet?
I wouldn't necessarily, because loads of people compete, but it's quite hard to say like that they're exclusively my student, because where I teach at Fight City Gym, Moorgate, and Balham, I'm only there once a week, and I teach at 3 different gyms. So Fight City Gym, Moorgate, in Balham, so it's the same gym but different branch, and London Street Fighters East, which is only down the road from me. But we take there's quite a few different coaches that teach the classes. Like my coach, Alan Pozo, then you get his wife, Sarah, who's also a black belt. And then there's Mateusz Flaga, who teaches in Balham and Street Fighters East. There's Romal, who teaches in Street Fighters East. So it's hard to say which one is exactly my student.
Like
just because
your student, yeah. So have you been like cornering any of the people that you've trained?
Sounds a bit bad, but no. Just because, number one, my voice isn't loud, and when I shout, they probably won't hear me.
Fair.
So I've been there, not necessarily to corner. I've been there just if I need to shout something, I will. So I have kind of, but not extensively. But I haven't gone out my way. Oh, like it's a Sunday today, so and so is competing. I'm gonna go to the local tournament to go down to the corner. And I haven't done that just because I feel like I'm more of an instructor at the moment, and I'm not someone's coach and not someone's mentor, so to speak. I mean, there are some of the students that I dedicate extra time to just because of their effort. And yes, it goes both ways, right? If they come here to train a lot, regardless of getting paid or not, I'm going to give them more attention in terms of
of course, definitely.
So, well, what was I getting to? So I haven't yet, but just because I'm prioritizing my own training and for a sec, prioritizing my own training, and I want to see myself as a competitor more than an instructor, as a coach. I'm more of an instructor right now, so So no,
Right,
short
right,
answer,
right. Yeah.
short answer. No, I actually, the thing is with me, I always end up talking about every single thing apart from the actual question itself. So
Yeah, so this is the question. Let's talk about all of this stuff. That's fine. Actually makes a good interview. So, you know, that's not a problem. No, I was going to ask you if you get more nervous for yourself than for your students, because I definitely get
oh,
more nervous for my students than for myself.
yeah, for sure. Like
Yeah.
when I think people I care about compete, whether it
Yeah.
is in Jiu Jitsu or MMA, whatever it is. Even like when I watch Claudio fight, it's even worse
Yeah.
when it's on TV where you or on a screen, you know. So I get more nervous when I watch other people compete for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Go.
Yeah. I feel like that's normal, but like, I don't know if people want to admit that it's normal. But I definitely
It's
feel like
definitely
that too.
normal,
I'm way more
and I
nervous for my
think,
students.
of course, I think it's normal, and that's why I don't think I can. If one day I have kids, I don't think I could watch them getting hit in the face. I mean, grappling's a tiny bit different. Of course, they can get injured, but um, yeah, I'm the worst when it comes to watching someone that I care about compete or anything along the lines of that.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And speaking of kids, do you coach kids as well, or just adults?
Not at the moment. I've coached kids a little bit in the past, just a couple of kids classes here and there, and I think it does require a lot of attention and time, which is fine. I actually enjoy teaching kids, but more often than not, which happens in most activities, right? That kids get brought in because their parents want them to do certain things, and parents have certain expectations of what they are supposed to do there. It's like, okay, and then the kid comes in, doesn't really know what's going on, of course. So I think kids classes, I was running more games with them. I wasn't for long, but the kids classes that I did teach, more games and being able to make it enjoyable and fun for them to get adapted to certain movements. And
Hmm.
but I did coach kids at one point, and it was enjoyable. But at the moment, I don't teach kids just because when I
Yeah,
teach adult classes,
no reason.
just there aren't any kids classes. But if there were kids classes at my gym, or if kids want to train, that's also fine. I don't find it that much of a difference as long as people are willing to be there.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So along that note, what's your like ideal student or ideal kind of person that you would coach?
So someone, doesn't matter the age, it can be like a kid to if my grandmother was alive, she'd come down. I'd be happy to teach her if she's willing to do it. So someone who's someone who's dedicated for sure. So someone dedicated, works hard, doesn't complain too much. I mean, complaints are somewhat okay, but not too many complaints, because at the same time you have to question what you're doing, right? Because more often than not, when you don't know something and you get into it, you listen to what you're told and you're like, oh, okay, and you don't really ever question it, right? It's like, oh, this is how you armbar someone, and then you're like, how do I do it if he does that? I think combat sports is one of the difficult ones where just because you're going against a live opponent or training partner,
Yeah.
things become a bit more difficult, and questioning the technique should come as well. I'd like a student. So long, short answer. I'd like a student that's willing, dedicated, thinks for themselves as well. So someone who thinks a lot, like not just this is an armbar, go drill it 100 times, and maybe you get it, maybe you won't.
Yeah.
You might be able to pull it off. You may not. So someone who thinks for themselves and asks constant questions to, and that's someone. There's quite a few students like that I teach, especially one-to-ones. Most of the time, they come to me with specific questions, which is what I like as well. So
Yeah, for sure. So on that note, do you want to shout anyone out? Sponsors, coaches, teammates, anyone at all?
shout out a lot of people out. My coach Alan, everyone from our team, boys in Colchester, boys I train with from the regular, from Mateusz, Romal. There's just too many to all my training partners. Sponsors, I'm not technically sponsored by someone in the moment, but big shout out to Harry Powell, Balance Banners apparel coming soon. All of that stuff. Yeah, that's my main guys.
Yeah, I
It's not
think I'm
that.
gonna get him on soon, so
Yes,
we'll have a chat with him as well.
yeah. We got Harry, so um, yeah, I haven't got many people to shout out to. Fair, it's one of those ones.
It's all good. It's
Really,
all good. It's all good. You don't have to shout out the whole world. It's all good.
no,
So
no.
if people are interested in training with you, if they want to be coached by you, how is the best way to get in contact with you?
You can at me on my kind of account, Chinaman Yip. That's China Man and Yip on the screen over there. I start actually
I'll tag
no,
you in there. I'll tag you in the replay.
yeah, mainly Chinaman Yip or just, yeah, DMs is probably the easiest way. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
semi-active on Instagram. It's one of those things that Instagram's so addictive. I'm kind of on it quite a bit. I'm always, yeah, I'm on it quite a lot. So
Okay. So Instagram and that's it.
Instagram, yeah, I'm too young. I'm not old enough to maintain using Facebook, so I'm not going to keep using
Oh
Facebook.
yeah, no. So
Yeah.
speak of the devil, here he is,
Yes,
Harry.
BJJ Harry Powell. Salam alaikum.
Yeah. We were just talking about you, Harry, and you missed it. So sorry.
Oh yeah, you as well. Salam alaikum. Big up. Also, yeah.
Brilliant. Right. Well, okay. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Hello, Harry. How are you? Repeat it. No, you have to watch the replay. That's
Yeah,
the rule.
it's towards the end. We just gave you a big shout out and all of that.
Yeah, we were being really nice about you and everything, Harry. Can't believe you missed it. Right. Okay. Yeah, it's been awesome having you on, and thank you very much for your time.
It's nice to be on and ramble on about a lot of things that are unrelated to the question. And
yeah,
yeah,
pretty much.
I get very nice
That's
topics
usually
with
how
everything.
these interviews go. I give a topic and we skirt around the whole thing, and we do a big. It's fine. It's fun. It's all good. We all learn something, I think. Right. Well, I will put the replay on. So if anyone is watching the replay, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and thank you, Tommy, for your time. And that is it. Let's get on with our day.
Yeah,
Stay.
bye.
Bye.